Hi, I'm Nikki.
And I'm Megan.
Welcome to the Grimdark Diaries.
We're your geek gal pals obsessed with true crime and all things dark and disturbing. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 10. Nikki, can you believe we're on episode 10 already?
I cannot. I am very happy. I could do this forever. Please keep
too.
listening to us.
Yeah, and please like and...
Save that to the end, Megan. Don't scare them right away.
I know. I am very excited to tell you this story today.
Ooh.
Do you remember my category?
I do. Do you?
Yes, it was love triangle, love square, love pentagon.
I better see a love octagon up in here.
Listen, you will be pleased with what I have to tell you today. So with that, we're going to just jump right in. Peter Wallner was born in a small village just outside of Munich, Germany, and was an only child. Growing up, he wanted to become a chef. So he did just that and got a job at the Four Seasons Hotel in Munich, which is where he trained to become one. After his training, he joined the German army to be a paramedic for 3 years, after which he came back to continue his career in the culinary arts, where he would become admired for his skills as a chef. In the year 2000, after working in one of Munich's top restaurants for around 2 years, he then decided to move to the city of London, England. Melanie Oosthuizen van der Merwe was born in Pretoria, South Africa in 1976. She had grown up doing various jobs around her hometown that included waitressing and doing small bits of filing before she decided to move to Britain in 1996 at 20 years old. After moving there and working odd jobs on and off, she finally landed a hotel banqueting job and was quickly promoted to management of food and beverage. Once Peter moved to London, he got a job at a hotel called Marriott Regent's Park shortly after. It was here that he would meet Melanie and sparks would fly. Melanie didn't have a visa to work in Britain, so less than a year after meeting Peter, they were married. After getting to know each other, Melanie was initially unsure about her new husband's behavior, as he would be pretty cold and calculated sometimes.
I mean, when you marry somebody that quickly.
Right, exactly.
Maybe give it a little bit of time.
Right, exactly.
So
I feel like
know who you're marrying.
Marrying for visas is not the right way to do romance, but that's just me, I guess. He required a strict regimented routine that he made her follow as well. Melanie was described as a bubbly and loud person, but also organized, so she would follow her husband's lead when it came to these things. She also mentioned that he would be very unemotional at times as well, and sometimes she just wanted to scream to get him to open up. Over time, though, Melanie would be completely head over heels in love with her husband. It would later be said that she wrote in her diary, quote, "I would never have thought I would have said it, but I am incredibly in love with my husband," end quote.
You never thought you would have said you're in love with your husband?
Right.
There's a lot of things wrong with that sentence.
There is. I agree completely.
And how old is this chick?
She's 20.
Interesting.
Yeah. I know, young though.
I guess that's young.
Yeah. And then she went on to say how she sometimes would wake up early just to talk to him. It's the complete opposite of how she felt not that long ago. Things had been going very well for them as Melanie was taking catering jobs to the House of Commons, and Peter was requested to send a recipe as a contribution to a book that was being written to contain the most prestigious recipes of famous chefs. He had even received 2 Michelin stars. For those who don't know, a Michelin star is considered a hallmark of fine dining by many of the world's top chefs and not easily attainable.
No, I watch a lot of Gordon Ramsay, so I know all about those Michelin
do you?
stars.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I like watching him yell at people.
I knew nothing about Michelin stars, so I had to Google it.
You don't watch Gordon Ramsay shows?
I don't.
I only started this last year, and they're pretty wild. He's pretty wild.
I don't like when people get yelled at.
They deserve it in this show.
Do they?
Oh, he'll go into a restaurant and they're like serving rotting food to people.
What?
There'll be mold and rats and maggots in the food and they're like serving it, or they'll be like,
ew.
Yeah, it's bad. He doesn't just yell at nice people.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, no. He goes into these kitchens that are disgusting or like so poorly run that they're literally like dumping out SpaghettiOs and
really?
And microwaving it and being like, it's Italian homemade pasta.
SpaghettiOs.
So that's when he yells. miles.
Wow, I
Yeah.
did not know that. Okay, that's interesting.
And he's pretty funny. I like him.
I don't know. I guess I never gave him a chance.
Give him a
I
chance.
just like all I see, because you know how producers like to focus on the yelling and things like
Yes.
that. That part for me brings up anxiety in my chest. So
Yeah.
like I don't like when people are yelled at because it makes me feel very uncomfortable.
Oh,
so.
they deserve it.
Okay, well that's good to know. Things seemed to be on the up and up with these two, and they both decided they wanted to move to a smaller town outside of London. So in 2005, they both took a job at the Woodland Park Hotel in Cobham, Surrey. There they decided to rent a home on Hamilton Avenue. Sadly, this would be the start of the young couple's troubles. See, Peter started his job at the Woodland Park Hotel first, and during that time before his wife got there, he wasted no time to start having an affair with a Maltese exchange student, Lilia Fennick.
Ooh.
Apparently, he wasn't a genius because, of course, as soon as Melanie starts working there so closely, she catches her husband having whispered phone conversations with Lilia. She confronted him about the affair and he confessed. They talked it over, and because Melanie was so in love with Peter, she decided to give him another chance, provided he stopped the affair immediately, and also if he attended counseling sessions.
Oh, Melanie.
I know.
Honey.
Right. Yes.
Honey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Preach.
No. That's... You
Not
poor
how it
girl.
works.
Where were her friends?
They hadn't moved there. Like they had just moved to that.
Yeah, but
place
she
that
must have. This is the 2000s. There's technology.
Fair
Doesn't
enough.
she have friends? If you
Fair
came to me
enough.
and you were like,
That's true.
I got this new boyfriend or my husband, and then you were like, oh, by the way, he cheated within like a hot second of us being here, I'd be like, yo, Megan,
I feel
dump
like
his ass.
I feel like a lot of women don't confide in this stuff with their friends. Not often, anyway. They keep it to themselves because they don't want their friends or family to judge them for staying with them.
Well, I'm judging Melanie right now.
Right, same. I know. It's unfortunate. But we're going to continue. She also decided it would be best to get a job elsewhere, which would give each of them some space.
Isn't that not a good idea? Because when you weren't working there, he was having an affair. So then your solution to stop the affair is for you to continue not working there and
Right.
have Liliana Hot Pants over there working with your husband.
Exactly.
I don't know if she's got hot pants.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
imagining if you're going to cheat on your wife, she's got to be cute.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I felt the same way, and I don't understand why she would want to give him more space, but maybe that was his manipulative way of saying that they needed more space. I don't know. As you'll find out. He's good with his words. So Melanie soon after got a job at the Thistle Hotel in Kensington Park and sought to make this marriage work. Lilia had moved back to Malta, so Melanie was under the impression that their marriage was back on track. She said in her diary that she was going to make the marriage work and would not give up. Things were good for about a year, but then Peter found another lady friend that he worked with at Woodland Park to have an affair with, Emma Harrison, who was a wedding planner. Everyone at the Woodland Park Hotel knew about Peter and Emma's relationship, and everyone could tell that they were very much in love.
Did they know that he was married to Melanie?
They were all under the impression that Peter and Melanie were separated, so no one questioned the relationship.
Scandal.
Right. And since she didn't work there anymore,
Yeah.
I'm guessing she didn't make any friends with anybody
And
there.
I'm sure he was not announcing, no, my wife and I are happily still married.
Exactly. That's right.
Come here, hot side piece.
Right, exactly. This news was kept from Melanie, though, and her and Peter seemed happier than ever. They decided to go on a camping trip to Edinburgh to see the Fringe Festival there in August 2006.
My favorite.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I remembered.
Somebody find us some fans in Edinburgh so I can go there and I will make you coffee and breakfast in bed
That would be amazing.
in exchange.
I would take her up on that offer, by the way, if you're out there.
I make okay breakfast.
Doesn't even
it's
have to be good.
No, my pancakes are fantastic.
I believe you.
And I love coffee, so I'm also good at making coffee. Only if you drink it black, though.
Right.
Yes.
That is not me. Then we could actually do ghost tours and things.
Don't even
Ghost
bring up
tour.
ghost stories because I want to do it so bad and I want to go to Mary King's Close, which I will tell you about someday because that's a whole other story on its own. Continue!
Okay. Oh, I'm very excited to hear about that. Okay.
Someday.
Yeah, okay. Cool. Abruptly, shortly after this trip, Peter would call Melanie's family and friends and tell them that he was woken in the middle of the night to a crash in the house. When he came down to inspect, he said he found Melanie collapsed on the floor. Peter claimed that Melanie tragically died of a brain aneurysm or a blood clot found in the brain. And so they would have a funeral for Melanie at her home in South Africa. Peter had her remains cremated to bring with him, and at the funeral, he took off his wedding ring, which had Melanie's name inscribed on the inside, and put it inside the urn while saying, quote, "I never believed in heaven, but now I know I had heaven on earth with Melanie," end quote.
So I'm guessing they did not do an autopsy on her. I'm guessing he requested no.
There was an urn, so her remains...
But before, like, if he apparently came downstairs and there was a dead body, he would need to call somebody. He would call 911, I'm assuming, and 911 would come and pronounce her dead, and then they would take her and they would do some kind of a medical check. You don't just pick up a young...
We're gonna get there.
A young, healthy, dead person and be like, no, yeah, she looks dead to me. Toss her in the back.
That's what they did.
That's what it sounded like.
We're definitely going to get to what he did do. The urn was placed in the ground at her father's farm in South Africa. When Peter got back to Britain, he continued on with his life, which included being part of a biker club. It would be at this club that he would meet Rebecca Jackson. Rebecca had just had her own difficulties to deal with. Her father, Walton, had been a successful chef in her younger years, but died when she was only 18 years old to cancer. Her mother, Natalie, was a nurse in a nursery who had passed away from a blood clot in November 2006 when Rebecca was 31 years old.
Aww.
It would be only 4 months later that she would then meet Peter Wallner. She said, quote, "It's a cliche, but he was a tall, dark, and handsome man. He had a gentle, self-deprecating humor, and I immediately felt at ease with him," end quote. I personally don't find self-deprecating humor attractive.
No.
But I guess
it's not. It makes me want to hug the person.
Right.
And just be like, sweetie, it's
and
okay.
feel bad for them.
Yeah.
Because there's better ways to...
Yeah. A joke now and then is funny. I love a good...
For sure.
Crack at your own expense. But if that is your main way of...
Yeah.
You know, trying to be funny, then it's...
I know. I feel bad.
Yeah. Tears of a clown, baby.
I just want to help them. Peter and Rebecca were the same age, and they quickly became friends. As they got to know each other better, he would tell Rebecca that his parents were in their 80s, which I guess means they were 50 when they had him because he was 30 at the time.
Oh.
Right. And that he had lost his older sister to suicide when he was 15 years old. He then went on to explain that his wife of 6 years, who was 30, had died the previous August from a blood clot in her brain. Rebecca couldn't help but feel an immediate connection with Peter. She felt terribly sad for him for the loss he had experienced in his life, and she could definitely relate since she had so recently and suddenly lost her mother. He told Rebecca that he found it extremely difficult to talk about her and only grieved in private. A month later, he finally asked Rebecca out on a date. He asked Rebecca if they could take it slow because he was still completely devastated about his wife's death and didn't want to rush things. They would become closer over time, taking it slow, and eventually they got to a point where Peter would be cooking breakfast for Rebecca, and he would tell her that she was easing the pain he was feeling from the grief.
I bet my pancakes are better.
I bet you they are, yeah. Mm-hmm. I have no doubt.
I like fluffy pancakes.
Ooh.
Like really cakey, fluffy ones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are yummy.
Little fresh berries on top.
Maple syrup.
Oh, yeah. It has to be 100% maple syrup.
Yes, exactly.
None of that corn syrup and maple flavor garbage.
No. Oh, my gosh. I mean, we are Canadian after all. Only the real stuff for us.
It runs through our veins.
That's right. Hook it to my veins. He did, after all, still have photos of Melanie in his home. This is the same 2-story, 3-bedroom home he lived in with Melanie, and her sweater still hung in the closet. He said he was on medication and going to counseling to get proper help to heal. Peter told Rebecca that he and Melanie had not wanted children, so he had a vasectomy. So in January 2008, it was a complete shock when Rebecca found out she was pregnant.
Uh-oh. Mm-hmm. Someone's got some splaining to do.
Right? They didn't feel ready to have a child, but eventually they came around and were very excited to be parents. Peter was so sweet in the first few months during the first trimester when Rebecca was experiencing morning sickness. He would make her omelets to help settle her stomach. They would talk about the future and what will happen when the baby comes. They decided it would be best to split the childcare so each were paying half, and Peter even told Rebecca that she should move in with him so he could help take care of the baby. It was sometime in March 2008 when Peter would fail to come home from work one night. Later on, he called Rebecca to tell her that he had to fly home to Germany because his father, Max, had passed away due to a heart attack.
Oh my goodness.
She tried to go out there with him, but he told her not to because of her condition. Pregnancy.
Condition?
Right.
What?
I know.
Are we in the 50s right now?
That's what it felt like reading that. Yes, because of her condition.
Yeah, she's afflicted.
Right. And from March, that's only 3 months.
That's...
It's not really that big of a deal.
No.
Over the next few months, he would continually fly home to Germany more frequently to see his mother, Helga, and to take care of her as she was now alone. Rebecca's heart went out to Peter. She knew he needed to do this and didn't want to stand in his way. In July, however, he advised that his mother had passed away of a stroke. He gave her the location and time of the funeral and was off again to Germany. Time was growing short and the baby was due to arrive soon, but even after his parents were gone, he was still absent from the home and she hadn't even moved in with him yet. There was always an excuse why he wasn't around. In September 2008, Rebecca gave birth to a beautiful baby girl whose name was Emma. Peter was not there for the birth of his daughter, nor could he be reached for up to a week after she was born.
A week?
A week. Right.
Didn't he have to work?
I don't know what he was doing or why he was not available. When finally Rebecca was able to get a hold of Peter, he said that he had been in the hospital due to kidney disease. He said that he would have to go back to the hospital for dialysis before he was able to see Rebecca and their newborn daughter.
Why? What would kidney disease
right?
prevent?
I don't know.
Is he suddenly blind with his kidney disease?
I was wondering that myself. I'm like, is it contagious? I don't think so. I don't understand why, but anyway. This time Rebecca was a bit suspicious. She decided to contact every hospital in the area to find out if a Peter Wallner was admitted to any of them. And guess what? He wasn't. Rebecca was even more confused now than ever. Unsure why an excited father-to-be would be so elusive and hard to get a hold of, and then lie about having kidney disease just so he didn't have to see them, it didn't make any sense.
That's an aggressive lie.
Right?
Like, that is you have to commit to that kind of lie.
Right. It made no sense. I don't understand. And the way she described it in the article I read was that he always made it very convincing. Everything that he ever said to her, all the excuses and flying home and all this other stuff, like he just made it sound so convincing that she had no choice but to feel for him until eventually she started to get a little suspicious. A day later, Rebecca was headed to a postnatal class in Cobham and saw Peter at a gas station on the way. She stopped the car, ran over, and started screaming at him for lying to her. Peter was a bit taken aback, but didn't miss a beat. He showed her his hospital bracelet, and he said that he had just been discharged from there. So Rebecca and Peter agreed to meet at his house later in the afternoon after her postnatal class was over. So then he'd be able to meet his daughter.
Oh.
Finally.
Thank goodness they
Right?
met at that gas station.
I know, right?
What a great dad.
So many things wrong with this. After her class, she went to Peter's house, but when she got there, he wasn't there. A neighbor happened to be outside and saw Rebecca with Emma and decided to invite them in to chat. The neighbor didn't know that Rebecca and Peter were still together because they had seen him quite often with his new girlfriend.
Uh-oh.
So this stopped Rebecca in her tracks and made her feel sick to her stomach, and the confusion just kept growing. She had no idea what was going on. And she had just had a baby, so I can't even imagine.
No, that's so stressful.
All those emotions she must be feeling. 2 weeks went by before she was finally able to reach Peter again. She called him out on what the neighbor had just told her, and he admitted the truth, although he wouldn't say how long the affair had been going on for. He was in love with his new girlfriend, Claire Trickett, who was a canine trainer for the police. He admitted he wasn't actually in the hospital and that he lied about that. He told Rebecca that he didn't want to hurt her.
So does he just have like a hospital bracelet that he like slips on?
Right? That's what my thought was
Yeah.
too. I'm like, that is commitment to the lie right there.
Also, I never get in true crime stories where I'm like, why don't you just break up with that person you don't want to be with?
Right.
Like, why would you go through all these elaborate lies? I get that you don't want to hurt somebody, but like, there's no way you're going to make it to the end of your days with these lies.
No,
like, there's
exactly.
no way.
I don't
It's
know.
going to reach a head eventually. The longer you let it go, the worse it's going to be.
I feel like people who are pathological liars, though, don't understand that.
I guess.
They don't understand that they just feel like because they've gotten away with so many lives over their years, that they will continue to get away with all their lies, but it always comes to a head.
Oh, yeah.
The lies always come out. Always.
Oh, God, that was threatening. Do not lie to Megan.
Saying. Yeah, there's nothing I can do about it. Rebecca fell into a deep depression after this. She was so upset by being lied to about Peter leaving her and Emma, saying that he didn't want to have anything to do with either of them anymore. It was also much to take. On top of that, every time Rebecca looked at Emma, all she could see were Peter's strong features. She said she obviously would never have hurt her daughter, but she was struggling to have any interest in her either. That's so sad. I can't even imagine.
That's absolutely heartbreaking. Take his ass to court and get child support.
Yeah. Right? Seriously. That's not mentioned in here at all. But luckily over time, Emma's features started to change and she started growing and learning new things like rolling over, which made Rebecca so incredibly proud of her daughter. And then one day it hit her that Emma was hers and had nothing to do with Peter. She loved her daughter so much and eventually got over Peter's betrayal.
And then happily ever after, the story ends. Peter's a piece of shit. This mom and daughter grow up to be princesses and they get invited to live in a castle and we're all happy. Thank you, Megan. This was great. I love ending on a happy ending. Thank you. Thanks.
I still have 3-4 pages to go.
Of their happy ending?
Of their happy ending.
Okay.
No.
You lied.
I mean,
Megan, you said you wouldn't lie. We just talked about liars.
You see how bad of a liar? You knew I lied immediately.
It's true.
I'm definitely not a good liar, which I think is not a bad thing. It wasn't long after all this took place, when Emma was about 10 months old, a call would come in from a police detective for Rebecca. He wanted to speak with her about Peter Wallner, who was a suspect in the murder of his wife. You see, Melanie's body was just discovered by garbage collectors or refuse collectors or dustmen, as they are called in Britain, in a garbage bin or wheelie bin, as it's called in Britain. They refused to carry the bin as it was considered way too heavy. The landlord then came out to investigate, and when he looked inside, he saw an ankle. From there, the police were contacted immediately, and an investigation was underway. Peter Wallner was then arrested for the murder of Melanie Wallner.
I see now. So there was no body. He just told the family that story and got a bunch of, I don't know, cigarette ashes in a bin. Kitty litter.
You're about to hear.
Oh my God. I can't wait.
It's very interesting. Let's take the time displacement fear back to August 2006, shall we? Back when Peter and Melanie went to Scotland to go to the Fringe Festival. See, this is what really happened when they got back. The car was still packed full of their camping gear when an argument arose. The argument? Melanie had seen a very explicit email that Peter had sent to Emma Harrison, his new girlfriend.
Dick pics! It was a dick pic, wasn't it?
I mean, explicit is the word,
and very explicit.
Could be.
He was sending. Don't send dick pics. Do not.
Please
do
don't.
not send unsolicited
Please
dick
don't
pics.
Don't ever. No, we will never condone that behavior.
No, it's a bad time. Exactly. Nobody wants that.
No female or male want that.
No person. No human.
I feel no human being would like that. At this point, Melanie knew that her cheating husband was never going to change. The next details will become a little fuzzy since the detectives could only put so much together when Peter would deny much of it. Peter did, however, admit to the police that he had fought with Melanie, that she was hitting him with a rolling pin for his deception and lies, so he picked up a griddle pan to defend himself and hit her 3 times in the head. What he did next is the absolute unthinkable. Peter, realizing he just killed his wife, wanted to stop the blood from dripping around the house, so he put a bag over her head and then tied it around her neck so it would stay on. Then he would remove her wedding ring, which was inscribed with his name and the date that they were married, and put her body in a sleeping bag. The same sleeping bag they slept in the previous night while camping in Scotland, and then wrapped that up in a tarp. Once he was done, he left her body in one of the spare rooms and immediately ordered a deep freezer. Within a week it arrived, so Peter put it in his garden shed.
So was she just chilling in there for a week?
100%.
Do you know how decomposed a body is in a week?
I actually don't, but
there would be mucho putrefaction.
That's gross.
Stuff would be turning into liquid.
It didn't say where he put her. Like, maybe it was in a colder basement or something. I don't actually know.
It would have to be fridge cold.
Yeah.
That's going to start to decompose real
It
quick.
wasn't exactly a week. It was within a week. So I think before
even like
the 7
a
days.
day.
Yeah, fair enough.
Do you ever leave some meat out? Just meat on your counter?
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. So, he put the freezer in his garden shed, then put her body in it and quickly set it to quick freeze. And there she lay for 3 years.
3 years?
3 years.
What?
Yeah, that was the shocking part of this story for me. It was 3 years that he had her in that freezer.
He has no conscience whatsoever.
How can you? I would think about that every single moment of every single day.
Yeah, that'd be the telltale heart beating under the floorboards.
Oh, so true. Before Melanie's body was discovered, Peter had tried to do some quick cleanup. He wanted to run away with his Maltese girlfriend Lilia Fennick to Malta and do a tour of Europe with her, so he quickly disposed of Melanie's body in a bin close to his house. Then he sold the freezer for £25 to a friend, after cleaning it out, of course.
Oh, God.
And then left the country.
Oh, man, somebody's got their popsicles in that dead body freezer.
Could you imagine knowing that, like, after this comes out in the news, finding out that you have the freezer, all your food's in there? I would
get my ice cubes next to where the dead body was.
That, everything would go in the garbage. Everything. Yeah, nasty. While living with his girlfriend Lilia, he saw in the news that the body of Melanie Wallner was discovered and that they were looking for her husband Peter. He knew he had no choice but to go back and turn himself into the police. Peter told the police that he killed his wife in self-defense. What Peter didn't remember at the time was that when the detectives had discovered her body, she had the bag tied over her head. After they removed the tarp and the sleeping bag, they also discovered that Melanie still had on a sleeping mask over her eyes.
Oh, snap.
Right?
So his story is bullshit.
Yes, exactly. This proved to the detectives that Peter must have killed her while she was laying in bed, likely asleep.
Wow, he's an idiot.
Right? He's not very bright.
No.
And you knew that from the moment he started an affair with a woman at the same place that he and his wife were both going to work.
Yeah.
Hello. Stupid. Now his self-defense theory was up in smoke. In his haste to get her body covered and away from the murder scene, he didn't even think about what his story was going to be, or that her body would ever be found, so he didn't think to remove the bag over her head or the mask over her eyes. After he murdered Melanie in her sleep, he would clean up the mess, clean the sheets and the mattress, and even using dye to get rid of the blood stains and all of Melanie's clothes from the main bedroom into a spare room. The following day, he brought Emma Harrison home to celebrate his birthday, under the assumption that he and Melanie had separated, and slept with her on his marital bed where his wife had been murdered only the night before.
That is disgusting.
He does not give two shits.
No, that poor girl, because obviously she didn't know.
No, she had no idea.
Blech.
Yeah, no, that's
gross.
Super nasty. That lovely funeral I told you about earlier, Peter didn't want the family to know what he had actually done, so he bought an urn, put ashes from his barbecue into it.
Oh my God.
And told them that that was their daughter's remains.
He's got leftover
Horrible.
steak in there saying it's their daughter.
How can you be so inhumane?
Thank God they didn't ask to look in there. They'd be like, smells kind of mesquite
Right.
in here. Did you season? Did you season your wife before you had her cremated?
Oh no.
A little steak spice?
Oh no.
A little fresh cracked pepper?
No. Oh my gosh. That's horrible. Oh, it's so bad. Yeah, that's what he did. What a horrible human being. I just have no patience for this man. He then took his wedding ring, which has her name inscribed on the inside of it, put it inside of the urn, and took it to her father's farm in South Africa, where it was then buried. The judge, Stephen Kramer QC, said, quote, "I am satisfied she was either resting or sleeping on the mattress, and she was defenseless against your attack. Over nearly 3 years, you were engaged in a course of conduct in which, amongst other things, you bought a freezer for the purpose of hiding the body. You lied to Melanie's family, your work colleagues, your own girlfriends, and other friends as to how Melanie died. You lied about your own parents, saying they were seriously ill or had died in order to elicit sympathy, so Melanie's family did not ask for the death certificate. Eventually, you took Melanie's body from the freezer and dumped it in a wheelie bin so that it might be dumped by the refuse collectors and disposed of. You doubtless thought that the body once hidden in the bin would be loaded in a dust cart, compacted and disposed so that what you had done would never be discovered. By your actions and deceptions and total breach of trust in your self-centered desire to escape responsibility for what you did, you have devastated Melanie's family. I am quite satisfied you are calculating and deceitful, both from the sequence of events on the day of the murder right up until the trial. What you did over those many months was indeed appalling. End quote.
I love when judges have a good mic drop,
Me
and
too.
that was another good one.
I had to include it for that reason alone. He had a mic drop for sure.
I also really like that they call them wheelie bins.
Wheelie bins, I know.
I'm bringing that here.
Right? I know.
I am only calling rolly garbage cans wheelie bins.
All of the articles that I looked up said, like, it had wheelie bin, like, wife
I love it.
found murdered in wheelie bin.
Could you read that again, Megan, in a British accent for me? Thanks. The whole thing.
I would love to, but you do not want to hear that.
Oh, I love an accent.
I apologize to all of our British friends.
Yeah, we have some UK listeners, and we love you.
Yes, we do. I wish I could speak in a British accent, though. I love the British accent.
I just love things in the UK.
It's true.
We really like Doctor Who. I really like. Do you really like?
I do.
Okay, good.
I have my blanket over there. Is the exploding TARDIS.
Yes. I mean, I know you have more than that in the UK, but that's like one of our favorite things.
That's the things that we can talk about right off the top of our head.
You have Doctor Who. You have wheelie bins.
Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah, we do. Absolutely. I loved my trip over there. It was one of the best trips I've ever taken in my life. I would take a trip to Europe any day over a trip down south. Yeah.
I can't eat or drink any of the food down south, so the appeal of that is really gone for me.
That sucks.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair. I would feel that way too. And emotionless Peter Wallner was then given a life sentence for killing his wife Melanie without a chance of parole for 20 years.
So did he plead not guilty and he gave that story, or that was the story he gave to police and then he pleaded guilty?
He pled not guilty and tried to use the defense that it was self-defense. He didn't, the judge was like, no, that's obviously.
No,
there was a jury as well. Yeah, there was a jury, and
you'd have to be pretty thick to not convict him.
Yeah, and I think I left it out just to save time, but there were two different reports that I read. One that had 7 women and 5 men, or 7 men and 5 women. So I didn't know which one was accurate because there were too many different news stations that said something different. I don't understand why, but I feel like in a case like this, they would try to avoid maybe too many women. I don't know.
Yeah, the defense would strike them from their jury process thing.
Right. That's what I feel like would have happened, but I don't actually know. So yes, they did go to trial because he tried to plead the not guilty for self-defense. In the courtroom, Peter avoided eye contact with Rebecca Jackson, who went there to try to get closure, to have it sink in who this man really was. She said that she realized during the trial that everything he had told her was a lie. His parents dying, who were both very much alive at this point, and his sister's death. He was an only child. Rebecca and Lilia met during this time as well. Both women connected in a way that only the women who were lied to by Peter could connect. Lillian knew that Peter's parents were alive and gave Rebecca their address so they would have a chance to see their granddaughter.
Oh, that's sweet.
The first Christmas after the trial, Rebecca sent Peter's parents a Christmas card with pictures of their granddaughter in it. They were extremely thankful for that. Rebecca expressed how awful she felt for them and for Melanie's parents, who had no idea Peter had done such a heinous act. Rebecca says that she didn't get the closure that she was seeking from the trial, and sadly, the hardest part was yet to come because her daughter, Emma, was already noticing that other children had a daddy and was starting to say daddy, which was heartbreaking to hear.
Yeah.
Luckily at this time, she was too young to remember Peter at all, but Rebecca does plan to eventually tell her what her father has done before she finds out for herself later in life. After all this, Emma's name was changed to protect her identity. Hopefully she'll be able to stay innocent from this knowledge for as long as possible.
Wow. That was crazy.
A little bit of a love Pentagon.
Yeah, I don't even know how many.
I think I counted 5 in total.
And I feel like
that's all we know of.
Knowing him, because I feel as if I know him very well now.
Right.
I feel like he definitely had more than was listed in this story.
I agree completely.
Like, he definitely had chicks all over.
Yes.
What do they say? Hoes in different area codes?
Hoes in different area codes, that's right. Yep.
I feel like he had that
I think so
going
too.
Down.
Yeah. And they called him tall, dark, and handsome, but like...
I'm really excited to see a picture of him so I can make this judgment.
I mean, he's not my type. at all. I personally do not find him attractive, and I don't know how he could be considered so smooth. There is a video on YouTube of his interrogation, and he is literally the least smooth person I think I've ever met in my life. And maybe it was just because interrogation and
and he was panicking,
scared. He looked like he wasn't scared. He was sitting like sideways in his chair, and he was just like, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know. I don't remember. Just like over and over and over again. I'm like, you sound like an idiot right now. Like, and the way he was trying to describe the fact that he couldn't remember to the detectives, and the detectives had him. Like, there was no question that it was him. And they were just like, oh, you must have forgot this little fact about the sleeping mask over her eyes. And he's like, I don't remember if I did or did not put the mask on her after the fact. I don't know what I did.
I think if you killed somebody, even if it was self-defense, you would probably remember the details of that.
Like putting a mask, like why would you put a sleeping mask on somebody after you just killed them in self-defense if that was your argument?
I don't know.
What would be the purpose of that?
Yeah.
So they can't see you when they're dead. I don't really understand.
Yeah, the eyes are the window to the soul.
Right?
Or something.
But he never said that. That was not in his
I
defense.
would be much better in this interrogation.
Right. Yes, already you are.
Yeah. Why didn't he just break up with Melanie? Melanie found the alleged dick pic, or so we think. She got mad, and then they must have went to sleep. They must have reached some sort of something because she had her sleep mask on.
Or go to bed angry.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's probably more likely. No, he probably smooth-talked her because apparently he could do that to Melanie.
That's very possible. He was very, very manipulative with his words.
So, like, I don't understand why you would then kill her. To be like, oh no, she saw my dick pic. I need to kill her now.
I don't understand how he could do that. Especially if you're going to do that to one, why wouldn't you do that to all the others? But, like,
I don't know.
I feel like it was in the heat of the moment. I don't know. He was with her for so much longer, too.
But if she was sleeping, it was not heat of the moment.
No, it wouldn't have been heat of the moment. But maybe he holds on to things for long. Like, maybe he stews and gets angrier over time.
I guess.
I don't know.
Killing somebody and then disposing of somebody seems like a lot of work, whereas breaking up with somebody is a little harder on the heart, maybe, but less work.
They were married, so there is a possibility. So another thing that was actually said was that after her death, he continued to use her credit card for shopping, and he maxed out all her credit cards, and he had written something to say that he had authority to use her cards or something like that.
Well, if they were married, they might have had some kind of a
they were in her name. They were very specifically said that they were her cards and that he used them until they maxed out. I don't know how much it was. I can't remember, but it was part of the reason why he probably did want to keep it a secret was so that he could get like all this stuff money-wise on his own. I don't know. He had a good job, so I don't understand why he would have had to do that.
Yeah.
This makes no
sense.
And
now, Mr. I have 2 Michelin stars is eating prison food. So ha ha ha.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a good point. That's a really shitty human. Like, I don't know. I think it's disgusting anyway when people in general are deceitful and they lie and they try to get multiple relationships in a secretive, gross way.
Yeah.
Like, just be honest about it. And you know what? There are people who are into that. Who want multiple relationships with multiple people. And, like, no judgments. People are into that. So if that's what you're into, why not be honest about it and live that kind of lifestyle? Maybe that's what you need or want. But I don't know. I don't know. He didn't seem to have any remorse about killing her at all. That wraps up the story about Peter Wallner.
Yay, that was crazy.
Yay. Yeah, a few relationships, a few love triangles.
Yeah, that was like a love Criss-Cross something.
There's definitely something happening there. So, I guess we're going to roll now for your story next week.
It is my turn.
Woot woot. Okay, roll.
7. Wait, did you get a 6 last week?
No,
or
I got a 5.
We skipped one number.
We skipped a 6.
No, because I got a 6 when we rolled the new category.
Oh, you did? No.
Our die are weirdly counting up. Literally, that's weird. And you think we're not in a simulation.
I know. It's so true. That's weird.
That's
okay,
very weird. Okay,
so
my category is, family affairs. There's so many good ones. I feel like I could go a lot of different ways with that. I feel
So
like that
many.
gives me a nice, open, broad category. Prepare for some messed up families next week.
I am very excited to hear what you come up with family affairs.
If you want to follow us on social media, you can find us at The Grimdark Diaries on Instagram and Facebook, as well as Grimdark Diaries on Twitter. If you want to send us an email, we are at thegrimdarkdiaries@gmail.com. If you enjoyed the episode, please consider subscribing, liking the episode, or giving us a 5-star rating on whatever podcast platform you follow. It would be really, really amazing if you had an Apple phone or like friends with Apple phones, if you could leave us a comment and a 5-star rating, because that is the only way you get noticed on Apple is ratings and comments.
We really want to be on New and Noteworthy.
Yes, and we don't really have many friends that have Apple phones.
No.
So we need you all, our friends in the dark, to get
That's right.
your friends and bring them into our darkness.
Yay.
But maybe don't word it as creepy to them. And then get them, even if you just like take their phone and do it for them, it's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
They'd be fine with that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Totally. Maybe don't do that.
Join us next week to see what I come up with for family affairs. And remember, a friend in the dark beats alone in the light.